Hi, and welcome to Mondays with Melissa. Today we're going to talk about protecting the family home. When people come to our office to talk about asset protection planning, Medicaid planning, a lot of times their main focus is protecting the home. Here on Long Island and in New York, homes are typically the largest asset that somebody has. So it's really important to focus on the best way to protect the house. Now, we've talked about in the past that there's a 5-year look back for nursing home Medicaid benefits, which means the asset has to be out of your name for at least 5 years before you need Medicaid to start covering the cost of your nursing home care. So how do we get the house out of somebody's name safely to protect it? There are really 2 ways to do it. Some people choose to transfer the property outright to a family member. Other people choose to transfer it to an irrevocable trust. I typically don't recommend transferring outright to a family member, though there are some times where it makes sense. When you put assets, any assets, into somebody else's name, to the rest of the world, those assets belong to that person. So the property could be vulnerable, it could be at risk if that person gets sued, if they have any other sort of creditor issues or get divorced or have kids in college on financial aid. So it's kind of risky to transfer the house outright into the name of, say, a child. Another issue is capital gains tax, because when you transfer property to a family member or child, you're transferring them your basis in the property. And these days, a lot of our clients who are in their 70s and their 80s and so on, they paid very little for their homes back when they first purchased them, and now they're worth so much more. And there's only so much gain you can make without being taxed. So you want to make sure you're protecting that capital gains tax exclusion. By putting it into another person's name, you're essentially causing that exclusion to disappear for if the house is sold while you're still alive. So that can really, really cause a problem for a lot of people from a financial perspective. A lot of the families we meet with will choose to transfer their house to an irrevocable trust when they're doing asset protection planning. Remember, irrevocable trusts are what protects the asset for long-term care Medicaid planning purposes. When we put the house into an irrevocable trust, it's a grantor trust. So for tax purposes, the trust, if it sold the property while you were still alive, would get the same exclusion that you would get if you sold the property out of your own name. So the capital gains tax hit would not be anywhere near what it would be if you transferred the property into a family member's name. So ideally, putting the house into an irrevocable trust protects you from a tax standpoint and also protects you from those litany of possibilities that I listed of how things could go wrong if the property is sitting in another person's name. So when it comes down to it and you have the choice to transfer your property either to an individual or to a trust, you really need to look at it from a case-by-case basis. We sit down with our clients, we go over what their goal is, and we talk to them about the best way to protect that asset that first they work so hard to keep and pay off the mortgage, and the property has gone up in value, and we want to protect that asset. That's what they're looking to do. And we go over with them the options and come up with the best way to protect it. Thank you for joining me today on Mondays with Melissa. Please come back next week, and if you have any questions, put it into the comment section.